Wait, when are we live? Are we live now?
Yeah, we're live right now.
It's all good. What's happening, family? I want to shout out.
Oh my gosh.
I want to shout out to all my fans, my family. I want to shout out to this weak nigga that's undefeated over here. Cocksucker. Mixed tempo. Hey, the kid got next. Don't edit none of this out, by the way. Okay,
Well,
let's roll.
That certainly was an introduction, but hello everyone. My name is Demetrius Mack, and welcome back to the Fantasy Recap. This is week 3, and we got a lot to talk about. Let me introduce my guests. One of them already introduced himself. This is our reigning champion from the league, is Eric, also known as the Kid Got Next in our league. One of the huge players I was talking about last week. And then over to my right, you're familiar with him. This is Isaiah from the RNS Network, and they are both undefeated, and I am winless.
Oh, 0-3. He didn't. He said that under his breath. He said that under his breath.
I am very much just taking L's. I've took L to Eric already, and I match up with Isaiah later this week. Actually, I match up this week, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But we are going to start off by recapping the events of week 3 and what went on down there. So let's start off by doing that.
Undefeated.
Yes.
Defeated.
Right, so
there's a difference.
All right, so the first game that we have up is my game versus ESO Legends. You guys can see this was an absolute nail-biter to the end. There were 3 sides to that Kansas City Jets game that you guys are familiar with. You were either on the winning end, you were on the horrific end, or you were on the end that just didn't give a damn because it didn't affect you. I, unfortunately, was on the receiving end of the negative side. You can see down here, this Kansas City Chiefs defense, 35 points. That's unheard. I don't think I've ever come across that in my time in fantasy. And it is one of the great fantasy performances of defense of all time. It has to be.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's just ridiculous. Everything else went pretty solid. I had subpar play from my quarterback. LeGarrette Blount did pretty well. Demaryius Thomas and Jarvis Landry did really, really well for me, but it was all to no effect because I ended up losing. I did have Devontae Freeman, which these two have constantly reminded me throughout the week that I should have played him, but I did not, and it is what it is. So I mean, that's what's going on there. He had how many points did he have? 26. 26? 22?
26.
26? Oh,
and,
well, he
and,
had...
and you have Matt Ryan.
Yes, I do have Matt Ryan, but it's all good. I had to take that L like a man, and it is what it is. No one else on his. I mean, come to think, on a week Russell Wilson gets injured mid-game, and a week where Kelvin Benjamin literally does not have a catch.
Yeah.
Both on the same team, and I lose somehow.
Yeah.
It's just. Is this the world of fantasy, folks?
Well, realistically, we spoke about this past week. This week was weird. It was really off for a lot of different teams, a lot of different star-studded quarterbacks who were supposed to, put up high numbers. Cam Newtons, the Andrew Lucks, the Russell Wilsons, the, Ben Roethlisberger, the one for Arizona, Carson Palmer.
Yeah.
All of these people, let's not even talk about Ryan Fitzpatrick, had bad numbers this week. All of them. Nobody performed how they were supposed to. And like you're saying, I mean, you can't really even be mad about this loss that you took because, like you're saying, Kansas City just went absolutely bonkers on that team. So, yeah, it is what it is.
It's not even that. I mean, this loss is more or less like a strategic loss. I mean, literally, if you would have had Matt Ryan and Devontae in, you would have easily won. I mean, they gave you together, 40, 46 points?
Yeah.
You probably would have had the highest points in the league.
That is true.
For that week.
That is true.
Or for the
At the
whole
end of the day, it comes down to who you believe in that way. And I just didn't trust that game. I was going off last year's game that they weren't too explosive last year. And I was going off of, the fact that at the end of the day, there's a couple things. Yeah, I could have had another bunch. I could have Frank Gore and I would have won. I had Frank Gore on my team. He put up about a good 12, 14 points for me.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, who could say they would expect this from Kansas City? Realistically, I should have won, but just a freak of nature game happened, and it didn't. And now, of course, all the critics of mine can swoop and be like, oh, you know what? You should have just had this. You would have won. And it's like,
yep.
At the end of the day, it is what it is. But moving on to the next game, we got the Kid Got Next, and the Murder Boners just absolutely destroyed, as you can see here. 108 points to 76. And this was the championship game of last year. And it looks like...
Was it really?
Yes, it was. You don't remember?
I don't. I have a bad memory. I faced him last year?
Yes, you faced him last year, and you faced him again this year, and you absolutely demolished him, probably crushing a lot of his self-esteem. But he didn't have much production from anybody. As Isaiah was speaking, Ben Roethlisberger just... No, he didn't have it.
It's the matchups. You got to look at the matchups. I mean, everybody felt like the Eagles was just going to get bulldozed over. You got Ben, you got Antonio, you got D'Angelo, who they call Jesus. I mean, you got all these weapons, and people are just looking at the Eagles like they're just underdogs. And realistically,
they were. I'm sorry, but
listen, Carson Wentz is the truth, man.
But he's a rookie.
I felt that way after I seen him in his first game. He played phenomenal. And then the second game, he did the same thing. And then he just did it against the Steelers and proved his point. No intercept. The only other quarterback who has thrown no picks in the first 3 games, Trevor Siemian. I mean, those two are just balling.
I can hear you. I totally understand what you're saying. But I feel like you have to still take into consideration, just like Demetrius said, he's a rookie. And you know what I'm saying? Yeah, he might be coming in on a high horse or excited and everything. But if he's the great, then that's fine. But if not, if he's just a subpar quarterback, he's going to have that one game where you're like, okay, this is the part of his decline. And you know what I'm saying? A lot of people were looking at this as that game because it's the Steelers.
Well, I'm telling everybody out there, if you got Carson Wentz, you stick with him. Yeah, he might have that one game where he declines, but I promise you, stick with that guy. Him or Trevor Siemian. But Trevor Siemian really isn't a fantasy stud.
Yeah, no.
But he's great for what he's doing.
Yeah. Game manager. He's a good player, just not
exactly.
Yeah, so that's the results of that game. Oh, great games for you, for Tevin Coleman. Nice pickup, by the way. You saw it coming that week, and I hate to admit it, but it looks like Tevin Coleman's going to be a thorn in Devontae Freeman's side forever. Apparently, he vultured 3 touchdowns. In my opinion, that Monday night. But you know what? Everything else with that backfield, I think, is going to be fine. I think there's just going to be a lot of happiness going around for owners of that backfield. So, that's just my opinion on it. And
I didn't expect to win that game because the scores was like 50-50 at one point.
That's how fast it can jump. Now, next matchup we have the Suge Knights and Force. This is an interesting game here because this was a 1-1 opponent going against an undefeated opponent. The Suge Knights. What went wrong here in this game is the production, primarily from Mohamed Sanu. He had Mohamed Sanu in there, and Mohamed Sanu had good games in the beginning of the season, but when it came down to it, as you can see, you can't expect. I don't expect much from tight ends at all. I just don't, because tight ends are this. It is a fantasy. Like, if you have a tight end that's going to put up 10 points every week, that's phenomenal. I was about to say that is just amazing. Like to have that, to find that, it might pop up later in the season, but right now it's nowhere to be found. Yeah. But at the end of the day, Brandon Cooks didn't do well for Force. However, Mohamed Sanu did not do well, and he needed his players to perform. He had his quarterback perform well. One of the well-performing quarterbacks of Week 3 was Aaron Rodgers. And Jeremy Langford also let him down with 4.6 points.
Wasn't that the game he got injured?
Yes, it was the game he got injured. And it's unfortunate because you have to... It's messed up to kind of say that, but someone getting injured is kind of a letdown if you're looking at it from strictly fantasy stats.
Absolutely.
Because it's like what happened to me, and I think in Week 2 is someone got injured. Danny Woodhead, I believe, got injured. And it just completely throws you off. But for Force having good games, Christine Michael and I believe, is he in? No, he's not injured now. Thomas Rawls is injured.
Thomas
so
Rawls.
He's going to be rolling for them going forward. Jordy Nelson and Antonio Brown. Force is going to be a force, I think, in this league because of the receivers that he has. I mean, when you just say Jordy Nelson and Antonio Brown, I mean it's
Yeah,
it's going to be
about
hard.
matchups once again.
It is all about
I can't
matchup,
go
but with
that.
those two players, those are two of the players where it kind of really doesn't matter because they're probably going to get those
no matter
with Jordy. Yeah, with Jordy and Antonio Brown, especially Antonio Brown.
When Antonio Brown didn't have a good game when they played Cincinnati, was it?
Yeah.
Because him and AJ Green didn't put up with maybe 4 or 5 points that game. It's all about the matchups. That's how I feel about Calvin Benjamin. I'm playing a guy right now, Calvin Benjamin and Odell. It's all about matchups. I ain't worried.
Right.
I don't think Odell is going to have more than 12, 13 points that game.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Well, for Forrest, like you're saying, you're thinking that he's going to be somebody to be reckoned with. I feel like you're sleeping on Eli Manning, okay?
Of course, that would be brought up.
Eli Manning.
I never woke up.
I'm sorry?
I never woke up.
Eli Manning scored 18 points week 1. He scored 12 points and then 14 points. No, those are not big. Okay, the 18-point was good. That was against the Dallas Cowboys in week 1. You can expect great things from him, especially when he's playing teams in his own division. Because you never know. It could be like a really high game for him. It could be a really low game for him. Last year, when they played the Saints, the man put up like 35 in fantasy around that. It was like, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? Then they played the Saints again, and it was not high at all. So he's kind of iffy, but at the same time, you can expect him to do well.
I think I know what he needs to do. Through 3 weeks so far, Odell Beckham Jr. doesn't have a touchdown.
True.
That will vastly improve his performance, and he's just got to connect more with him. And since you're speaking so highly of Eli, I think he needs to go and have a little chat with his star receiver because a little tantrum he threw on Sunday it was kind of embarrassing. It was all on World Star Hip Hop. And I felt bad because I'm a huge even more than this man who was a Giants fan.
Yes.
By the way, I'm probably the biggest Odell Beckham Jr. fan.
Not bigger than me.
I am absolutely I absolutely have the ultimate respect for his talent. I think he can take this league by storm. He already has, but I'm talking about like undisputed #1 status one day if he gets his head right. If he leaves New York because New York's no good. But
wow, we'll talk about this off of the camera.
Moving on to the Ballers and the name what you guys know as last week. I do not say simply because I just don't feel comfortable saying the name. So it's been known as Isaiah's team.
That's me,
and
baby.
That's what I go as. So the Ballers versus Isaiah's team. A little bit what I've been seeing from this, and I'm not going to go a whole into it, but as you can see, this was by far the lowest scoring matchup we had all just this week. I mean, you would look at this and you'd be like, oh, some players must have got injured. Something must have happened because 79 points being the game high is just, you're like, wow. Wow, you'd have people that scored over 100 points that lost. People scored 90 points, 99 points that lost. So it's just a matchup in favor of Isaiah's team. But nonetheless, he is 3-0.
Thank you.
He is rolling right
you.
now, primarily because of the AC/DC matchup. AC/DC combination. It's been working well. Didn't go too well versus Tennessee. I know you're probably expecting a lot more.
I was expecting a lot
more from them. But Carson Palmer on the end and on DeBala's team just did not play well. His only big spot was Allen Robinson. Mm-hmm. Allen Robinson had about 56 yards and 2 touchdowns, and I don't think we can you know what? I'll take that. We can't expect that to happen. I think that's what Allen Robinson is do. I don't think he's going to get a whole ton of yardage. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to be. He's a red zone threat. I think he's capable of getting 2 to 3 touchdowns each week. Honestly, but that's if Blake Bortles can, of course, get his stuff together.
Yeah.
If Blake Bortles can't get his stuff together, it's not going to matter what's going on in that Jacksonville offense because right now, I had Allen Hurns. I ended up dropping him from Jamison Crowder, which I'll get into in our next section, the waiver wire section. But right now, I think what the ball is going to, going forward, going as 1 and 2, he's going to have to primarily rely on this man right here, C.J. Anderson, and he's going to have to rely, of course, on Julio Jones, who absolutely disappeared. The one player on that Monday who just disappeared, and I'm sure was furious to not get anything from.
Well, see, the thing is, I know probably as the Ballers, Devon in our fantasy league, yes, he was upset. But this is something that you have to expect. They spoke to Julio Jones the day before that they were playing in the New Orleans, and he was like, you know what? I know that they're going to cover me real well. They're going to put their best defenders on me. So if I don't even touch the ball this whole game for a victory, that's okay with me. And, it's good wide receivers like that will help your team get a W. But as far as fantasy-wise, yes, it does suck for the owners of Julio Jones. But you just have to expect that, which means you have to really, really dig deep inside of the waiver wire to get those, number 2 wide receivers. Those sleepers.
Yeah.
Those sleepers.
Good job scouting that out, bro.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so.
But Eddie Lacy, I just want to touch on base with Eddie Lacy. Eddie Lacy did pretty good for him that week. 10 points?
Yeah.
That,
10
in
points.
my opinion, I mean, I wasn't paying attention to Eddie Lacy last year, but from my opinion, from what he's been doing, trending, 10 points is very good for him. 10 to 12 points a week, I think that's pretty good for him. But maybe I'm just lowballing the guy, but...
Well, I don't think so, because everybody knows that the Packers' offense is a pass-first offense with the weapons that they got. So getting 10 points from Eddie Lacy is going to be, hey. I would have Eddie Lacy as a flex, honestly. I don't think I could roll him as a 2. I think he does need another running back right now because I wouldn't trust Eddie Lacy to be in that 2 spot. If you're going to have running backs, you're going to want to get running backs who are either vultures, who get them at the, or split backfield, who do that vulturing type stuff, or someone who gets a whole hell of a lot of carries. I'm fortunate enough to have 2 of those, Matt Forte and LeGarrette Blount, but obviously they haven't helped enough. They have both contributed vastly, but they've had weeks where they have put the team on their back for me, both weeks 2 and 3, and it just didn't pan out the way because nobody else decided to help them out. So going forward, if they both have monster weeks together, I think that will bode very well for me. Moving on to the last matchup, we have Never Bowing Down and the Fundraisers, and it was a frustrating week for our league commissioner, to say the least.
Yeah.
Can y'all hear me?
That was
This
just.
is stupid. Come on now. When you look at some of the stuff like this, you're talking about the W that Philadelphia had over Pittsburgh, but Ryan Matthews had negative yards. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, is Ryan Matthews even a fantasy stud? I mean, come on.
He should be.
I had him last year at one point, and he wasn't doing anything. I mean,
Oh my!
Well, last year they still had a
get the
DeMarco
evidence.
Murray. I mean, you got to remember that. Take that into fact. Now he's the legitimate number 1, whereas last year it was kind of disputed who's going to be getting more carries, him or DeMarco Murray. This year, it's him over Darren Sproles, 100%.
And I think Darren Sproles put up more points than him last week.
I would hope so. More than negative, 50, negative .50. But looking on the fundraisers end, the Minnesota defense kept him from having a super embarrassing loss. Nobody else. I mean, and Justin, the defense and the kicker. And look at that. That's 40 points, 41 points from the defense and the kicker.
What'd you say about that defense? You said who?
The Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, we'll touch base with them for next week's game, won't we?
Yes, we will, because the Giants is about to expose their defense for who they really are. And Eric, just to go back to your point, Ryan Matthews put up 13.7 points week 1, 15.5 points, 15.50 points in week 2.
Of this season?
Yes.
Did I see that?
Yes. And then
I didn't do enough research.
Week 3, negative 0.5. So it's like, that was crazy. This was like a freaking nature type week. Realistically.
Well, thank God they get him in the end zone. Thank God for that, because his yardage is horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that that was the matchups from last week, the results. A lot of disappointing performances, but some people it didn't matter. Some people got their wins. These two, they got
is that a shot to me?
No, I'm just saying, they got their wins. They did what they needed to do, and at the end of the day, they came away with the W.
Thank you.
We move on to the next week because that's all you can do. All right, so now we're on the waiver wire section of our show. This is where we talk about the waiver wires and everything that we want to discuss. What do we think is key pickups this week and that are going to help if they already have helped due to the Thursday night game. So over here we got Kobe Fleener. We have Kobe Fleener, who is, I know Isaiah is all on about for Kobe Fleener. Kobe Fleener, and I didn't bring him up actually, but I picked up. I won't bring him up now. Is Dustin Hopkins, the #1 kicker in the league by fantasy standards right now? Take a look at his stats.
Smack.
Yeah, I know you're on your iPad right now. You can take a look at the stats. Pretty nice. Some other things that I do want to bring up as well are the addition of Terrell Pryor. Of course, Terrell Pryor, we all know the versatility that man displayed last week. But this week at that receiver position is going to be covered by Josh Norman, perhaps the best, cornerback in the league. So that could bode for some problems for him and his production. But I know who picked him up, which is never bowing down, is going to be obviously relying on that. So
longevity-wise, Terrell Pryor is definitely a good pick. Again, you got to watch for the matchups. I mean, I don't see him. I wanted to get him for longevity, not for the Washington game. I mean, I don't see him doing too much damage against Josh Norman.
I don't know. For me, besides, what's their running back's name? Isaiah Crowell?
Yeah, Crowell.
Besides him, Terrell Pryor is the second best player on their team.
Agree.
Duke Johnson.
That's how. No, Duke
Well,
Johnson.
against,
I dropped him for a reason.
Gary Barnidge, the tight end, but he's not doing. I don't know if he's doing anything outside of fantasy.
To me, Terrell Pryor is the second best player on the team, and if you look closely at what he did last week, he put up 18 points, and that was through the air. He passed the ball, he rushed the ball, he got running yards, and he also got a lot of receiving yards as well. If he meets up into the end zone some more, he's going to put up some crazy numbers. That's just my opinion.
I think so. And other notables ones are picking up are waiver wires. Was ESO Legends. Absolutely ESO Legends. Jamison Crowder. I think they could be two big sleepers because they're both number 2s technically, although Jamison Crowder, I think, is ready to take that #1 from Deshaun. And, maybe they'll cut him and let him go because Deshaun Jackson, I hope he saved his money. He's injury prone. And
how could you say he about to get dropped and he just put up like 18 points last?
Because he's gonna get injured.
Wow,
like he does every year. Like
but you got Jordan Reed, you got Pierre Garçon.
Jordan Reed, yeah, true. But Jordan Reed is he ready to be that #1 option for them?
Once again, we're in a situation where we're talking about the quarterback. I mean, he was paying for a contract last year, and now you got a simple one. I don't know.
Kirk Cousins is about that life. It was him. I always believed in him.
Because I had him. But I had to drop him because I noticed he wasn't about that life.
Speaking of RG3, no. They should have left him. They shouldn't have never picked him up. I'm sorry. I've never believed in him. Continue.
Yeah. R.I.P. to his career, too.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
Maybe. He could bounce back and go to the Bears or something to take over for Jay Cutler. I don't know. Lord knows they need a quarterback.
That's another quarterback in the league that they won't ever get rid of. Him and Tony Romo are the only two.
Yeah, well, they need to. Otherwise, they will be in limbo forever. All right, so we can move on now to the final portion of the show, which is what's basically talking about predictions, our personal predictions for the upcoming week, and what we think is going to happen and how we think we fare in our matchups. So, week 4, the first matchup is me and Isaiah's team. Like I said, I am contractually obligated not to speak that name. I'm just kidding. I'm not contractually. I just is against my. I personally do not wish to say that name. From me, I will not ban my host from saying it if they want to say it.
Mixed team pros versus the cocksuckers.
Thank you. Hey, you know what? I bet you when I have a better season than you, you will respect my name. And you will be mentioning my name on this YouTube channel.
Yeah, it will be Isaiah's team.
No, it won't be the cocksuckers, okay? And don't you forget it.
All right, well, when we match up again, I might bet you that if you beat... Oh, you know what? Not this matchup, because you turned down my... that's another thing. I'll get into that maybe at the end. So, yeah, we got pretty good matchups. I think our tight ends are going to be matched up evenly pretty well. Big opportunities for both of them.
Definitely.
Receiver-wise, Mark Cooper, I think, is going to have a very big game. AC/DC is going to link up. And running backs, I think, is going to come back down to, at the end of the day, it's going to be the running backs of Mark Ingram and Melvin Gordon versus Matt Forte and LeGarrette Blount. Who's going to step up the most? Because they both, 3 of these 4 have, delicious matchups for them. And I think whoever's backs perform well is going to push them over the edge in this game. He has an unfair advantage with the Denver Broncos. There's only 2 defenses in fantasy that matter right now. That's the Vikings and the Broncos. And they're going up against Tampa Bay, so he will have an edge on me there. I'm trying to do everything I can. The Redskins versus Cleveland. I got the Redskins defense, but I don't know if that's going to do or is going to help me a lot.
He has a kicker on Monday night.
He does, yeah.
His kicker could be the determining factor if it's a close game against y'all backs.
Well, it is, especially since he's going against that Minnesota defense. It could be a lot of field goals.
Right?
Realistically, this might be a really good game. Now that we're actually looking at it and breaking it down, you know what I'm saying? Andrew Luck, if he doesn't perform, then I could take this W. You picked up a kicker, since Eric brings up the kicker. I believe in Josh Brown. I think that Josh Brown for the Giants is awesome. But like you're saying, you picked up the number 1 kicker. He's putting up He's putting up crazy numbers. Like, what is his first name? Hopkins. Dustin Hopkins. Yeah. Just real quickly. 10 points, 11 points, then 17 points. This is a kicker.
Fantasy-wise, yes. He's doing good.
Wow.
But the Patriots has the best kicker.
Steven Gostkowski?
Yeah, I mean...
Anyways.
We'll see. I'm more of an Adam Vinatieri fan. But
what team is he on now?
He's still on the Cardinals? Is he on the Cardinals?
He went on the Cardinals.
Oh, he's not.
No, I'm sorry.
Not a Patriots. Colts? He's on the Colts now, right?
Yeah.
I thought he left them. Oh. I don't think no, he didn't leave them. Moving on to the next matchup. DeBallers versus the Suge Knights. Now, looking at this matchup here, we can see some tough matchups already. Eddie Lacy is on a bye. He hasn't changed Eddie Lacy. I hope he changes him out, the Ballers. And we have C.J. Anderson should have, and honestly, a kind of a difficult time versus that Tampa Bay front line. They don't sleep on their front line. It's actually pretty nice. And then Julio Jones is going up against Carolina, but it's not the Carolina of old. They no longer have Josh Norman to cover him. They have a few rookies, I think, a couple of rookies in that position. So he might be eating there. And Allen Robinson. When I say the name Allen Robinson, that should immediately come to mind is Blake Bortles, because they're connected. If Blake Bortles does not perform, Allen Robinson will not.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that.
When you say Allen Robinson's name, you should have crickets in your background, because who is he right now?
You know what? He's doing the most he can, just like Jarvis Landry in Miami. He's doing the most he can.
Okay,
exactly.
I will. Okay, exactly. I'll agree with you on that.
These are wide receivers that you have to respect, just because they're not placed in the best offensive systems. That doesn't take away from who they are. Allen Robinson showed you who his name is, and he does not have crickets last week when he put up 17 points in our fantasy league.
What did he put up the 2 weeks before that?
The 2 weeks before that, the first week he put up 7 points, and the second week he put up 5 points.
Yeah. It's only week 3. Yeah. I mean, it's week 4 technically, but it's only been through 3 weeks.
Because we got 16 games to go through, or 15, 14, whatever.
So we got some ways to go. All right, moving on to the middle game, the Murder Bonus versus Never Bowing Down. This could shape up to be a very big matchup, and I'll tell you guys why. Not only because they're both 1-2 and dropping down to 1-3 would after this week, in my estimation, would put you in my level because I expect to be 1-3 after this week. But I think it's a matchup of quarterbacks. I mean, look, you got Ben Roethlisberger taking on Kansas City and Carolina, who's going up against Atlanta, and you might think, oh wait, hold on, that should easily be Cam Newton all day. But this is a divisional matchup right here.
If you have Matt Ryan at home, you know what? Let me not throw no blimps. Demetrius,
I was about to say, just say it.
Demetrius, start Matt Ryan at home versus Cam. Because Ben is at home.
Feel more comfortable with Andrew Luck in London versus Jacksonville.
And that's something that's huge right there. I don't remember exactly what the analysts were saying, but they were talking about some of the things that these teams did prior years in London, and it was just like some ridiculous numbers.
Coaches getting fired after.
Yeah, and it's like any players that you have on these two teams, the Jaguars or the Colts, I think you're going to want to start them in London just because, like, that atmosphere, that different feeling of being out there, they play differently out there. It's pretty interesting.
They do. And then we have, the receivers matchups is not too all exciting. I mean, look at it. You got Willie Snead, Stephon Diggs, Travis Benjamin, and Doug Baldwin. Those are not exactly the most exciting receivers in the NFL. However, Travis Benjamin is going up against New Orleans. We all know the speedster. Let's see if Phillip Rivers can get him something done. And I think those, coming down to the quarterbacks and receivers, really the quarterbacks are the ones that are watching this game. Ben Roethlisberger is going to have Antonio Brown, but Antonio Brown is going to be going up against possibly disputed the best corner in the game right now. It's Marcus Peters. People are starting to really hop on the Marcus Peters bandwagon. He's a local boy. He's from Oakland, went to Ohio, so I'm rooting for him. But he it's gonna determine how that offense is feeling for Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers.
And Le'Veon is back, so who knows?
Le'Veon is back. That's right. Yeah. So Phil will be happy. Our commissioner. Yeah, he's gonna be happy with that. So all right.
I'm calling Never Bound Down to win this game. This is probably the first game I'm gonna call. Yeah, the Murder Boners has the Cardinals defense on the bench. He chose to go with the Dolphins defense, and they gave him literally 1 point.
I don't understand that.
Yeah, against Cincinnati.
Exactly.
At home.
Exactly. That is. He has to. I don't know what this guy is thinking.
And he's playing the Rams. Oh my goodness, that's gonna be
exactly. They gonna
they
be
can
eating.
Yeah,
I'm about to trade this man before
wow.
Sunday comes.
All right. So moving on to grudge match of mine. These are two teams that I've personally lost to. The Kid Got Next and my and the ESO Legends, who beat me due to the Kansas City Chiefs last week. 23 points head start is a pretty good head start. Got to be having you feeling pretty good.
But it does feel good. But another thing I've noticed with head starts on that Thursday night, I've had people I played against that put up points, and I still came out with a W. I hope it doesn't backfire on me.
You just say me. I mean,
Devon.
And it was me too.
Oh, okay. Devon definitely had C.J. Anderson pull out that 20-some point game.
That was week 1, right?
Yeah, and it shocked me, and I was like, and he had a kicker, I think, so he had like 35 points first game.
Eric, I'm sorry, bro. I'm looking at the players that you have on your team. You're looking at like 150 points this week.
Psych.
I'm so sorry, bro.
No,
the only person I'm concerned with is Tevin Coleman. But even still, he could probably go crazy against Carolina's defense.
Tevin Coleman is definitely someone I believe in now.
Yeah,
since he has that number one. He doesn't have the number one spot, but he's definitely making a name for himself with the number one spot in the backfield. But Atlanta does a great job with utilizing both their running backs. That's what I hope happens with Pittsburgh. But it could be a tough one.
I don't know.
Because that's why I still have D'Angelo in the game. But
no, you got DeMarco Murray going against the injured Houston Texans defense.
Yeah, not to mention your receivers already had. AJ Green already went off. Marvin Jones is going up against Chicago.
And he put up 35 points last week.
Yeah. Greg Olsen is going up against Atlanta. You've got the Panthers against Atlanta defense.
And I'm sketchy about that. Only because I picked up Zach Miller. And people are like, who's going to throw to him? I mean, Hoyer is a decent backup quarterback for now. And like I said, Detroit is giving up points to tight ends. So I'm at a toss-up. Who should I put in? Greg Olsen or Zach Miller? Should I go with the person that we all believe in Greg Olsen? Atlanta's been doing pretty good. They're 2-1 at a home division game. Or should I go with Zach Miller in Chicago versus Detroit?
You know what I want to think? It doesn't matter because everybody else is going to get you 130 points.
Exactly.
I can't say that. I don't.
All right. Well, we will see. And he's going to have 50 points each from Odell and Kelvin Benjamin just to compete because LaShawn McCoy is going against New England. For some reason, Shady is probably going to get his, but I don't know. The Patriots are just such a weird bunch of an organization. Like the way they shut down Houston, it was crazy. And he's banking on a lot on Martellus Bennett and Victor Cruz. If they don't perform, this matchup is over.
They can still perform. Victor Cruz can perform all he wants.
But he's going up against Minnesota.
He needs a touchdown.
Okay.
Victor Cruz has been putting up some decent points. He just needs the end zone one time.
Yeah, he really does. Because more this week more than ever, his receivers got to show up. They have to. Before anybody else. Yeah. So, moving on to our last matchup, which was Force and the Fundraisers.
The Commissioner.
Yes, the Commissioner versus Force. This is a
that should have been
big,
the thing.
Yeah. Maybe he'll change it in the future. Who knows? So, I see a lot of home games. When I'm looking at this screen right here, I see a lot of home games for the Fundraiser. New Orleans, Kansas City, Giants, LA. Oh my, whew. Should be eaten. I'm looking at that LA game. Larry Fitzgerald, DeAndre Hopkins should be eaten. Phillip Rivers should be eaten. Le'Veon Bell. Who knows? Is Kansas City really real? What if they put up 30 points again? I'm scared.
Oh my gosh!
I don't know.
If they did just put up 30 points again,
they did that in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. I would say I would trade Tom Brady for that defense.
Not in Heinz Field. Wow.
That will happen.
Wow.
Good call.
But this is going to come down to, I think, just the simple, because you look at Force, he has a lot of away games for a lot of key players, his running backs, at Pittsburgh and at the Jets. Yeah. That's going to be tough. And then Eli Manning is playing at Minnesota. Is that O-line going to hold up? Or is he just going to be Sack City?
You make sure you tune in Monday night.
Oh, I'll be tuned in Monday
to watch
night.
This football game.
If the Giants lose, you have to burn that jersey.
No, heck no. This money just costs way too much money. You tripping.
If they win, I'll give you the money for that jersey.
You smoking that? No, I'm good.
Yeah. Well,
there you go, Eli. Not enough faith in you, my friend.
So we have our coverage, our recap. There's one thing I did want to a little bit bring up at the end of this. My confidence in my team is still absolute. I still believe in my team. Although I do not believe right now at this point in time that I will win this league. I do believe that I can still compete at a high level each and every week. So I did offer, I got to say, with right now my confidence is very high. And I think confidence leads to making smart decisions in the fantasy world. And I think my confidence is at an all-time high. I had a proposition for my opponent this week. That he, I'm not going to share the details of it. I'll just let you guys know that he did, in fact, turn it down, which could have decided the whole balance of the universe of the fantasy world. But
what's the details? Well, let me hear it. Let the fans hear it.
All right. Demetrius gave me a call this week, and what he said to me was, he started talking all this trash, talking about I got a cupcake schedule, and that's the only reason why I'm 3-0. He came in too big-headed to be 0-3 this year. So he puts up this bet because we do play each other this week. He puts up this bet. If he wins, he gets to take Amari Cooper and Derek Carr off of my team.
Wow.
And if I were to win, I could pick up any two players from his team. The only reason why I did not take that bet is simply based off of the points that we put up each week. I won games around 79 points, like 96 points, and then another like 79-point game. Those were my 3 W's. When Demetrius lost all of his 3 games, he still put up roughly around 100 points, if not higher. So I do believe in my team to get the W this week. I just didn't want to take that chance because if I lost my number 1 and number 2 pick, AC/DC, that would be the end of my season.
That's tough, man. You could have Tom Brady and who else do you have? You could have Tom Brady and Devontae
Freeman, yeah. I could have. I could have LeGarrette Blount, Matt Forte, Andrew Luck. These are all star-studded people on this man's team.
And then it would suck if you took them and then now he's balling and AC/DC gets in the end zone. And
so, it's okay. I believe in my team. This is why I drafted the people that I did. I'm not going to give them up that easily.
Or
because some 0-3 person is trying to turn their season around. I'm cool.
Yeah. That's fine. It's spoken like someone who's, not really willing to go above and beyond to do what it takes to win this league.
I already did. I put all my heart and soul into our draft.
Wow.
Unfortunately, you did not.
Demetrius, let me tell you, the Saints are 0-3 as well. And guess what? Their season is not over. You could still do something.
Oh, I know my season's not over.
You just won't win the championship.
Your season is over. Done.
All right, well, we'll see after this week, won't we? We'll be back, of course, for the week recap next week, and we will see the results of that. But that about covers everything that we want to go over in this week's recap. So thank you, everybody, so much for tuning in. I want to thank my guest, Eric, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Champ. You're welcome back anytime. And, of course, you guys know already Isaiah from the RNS Network. Make sure to check them out. They've got some quality things going on over there on their podcast. They talk about everything under the sun in pop culture and just about everything. And they even have a hip-hop hour for all you hip-hop heads. And we actually have a collaboration of our own going up if you might want to give details on. It's actually shooting tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. It's going to be cool. We're going to have a debate based off of the last Star Wars movie, The Force Awakens. Demetrius is going to be the referee, per se. He's going to be the judge who decides who wins. And I am actually going to be on one side of the end, as where our main show head coach, Chris, for RNS, is going to be on the other side of the end. You guys tune in to hear that. Check that out.
All right. And with that, bid you guys farewell, and I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, I'm Demetrius Mack, and we are out. Peace.